Thanks for listening to the Clive Barker Podcast. Get all our releases first thing by subscribing. In episode 285, Jose and Ryan discuss our 2021 plans and thank all the great people who helped us with our Kickstarter fundraiser. This episode is sponsored by Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination. Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination shop is dedicated to the arts and medicine program at Texas Children's Cancer Center. Up to 50% of the proceeds will support the program, where artist Don Bertram volunteers monthly. Don Bertram is a longtime friend of Clive and celebrates and continues to be inspired by his art. He uses that inspiration to help kids through the Texas Children's Cancer Center, and we couldn't be more thrilled to continue to work with him. There's a news feature that shows Don working with the kids at Texas Children's Cancer Center and his artwork. Click the side banner at www.clivebarkercast.com to find links to the videos and his Etsy shop, where you can buy his prints, his books, and support this wonderful program. Check out his artwork and find out what inspired me to buy The Sentinel in episode 257, Art and Inspiration with Don Bertram. Okay, well, welcome. This is episode 285 of the Clive Barker Podcast. This is our fundraiser sort of roundup. So the Clive Barker Podcast presents Fundraiser 8 Cell World. Our Kickstarter just finished.
Yeah. So as usual, I'm Joe. You got Ryan.
Hey.
How you doing?
Yeah. So we in this episode we're just gonna kind of go over what, how it went, what are our plans for next year as a result of the Kickstarter. It's really the only way that we get our funding is just from this one time in the year. So it kind of reboots our podcast every year and refuels our enthusiasm, which is always nice. And
we get to hear from. We get to hear from our listeners. We get to see how many people out there are listening to our stuff. We get contributors who are super generous and offer things to the Kickstarter. And it's always a fun, exciting time of the year to figure out how we're going to fund the next year of the Barker Cast. And the next year, of course, is going to be our 10th year.
Yeah. So we reached, we had a pretty minimum goal just to pay the bills, to the hosting and all that stuff. We easily reached that one. We reached another one to make our episodes bi-weekly, so every other week, which we've done that a lot in the past. This year we did weekly, because I thought, we were tagging the news onto the feature episodes and doing like a 3-hour episode. So what if you just cut that news off and make it a separate episode? So that's kind of what we did this year, but it doesn't always work out that way, because sometimes we do commentary episodes and it just feels like, we're tired, we need a break, and so we're still recording just as much, it seems like, or more. So I don't know, but yeah, we're thinking bi-weekly. We'll sort of play it by ear. We'll figure that part out. We're going to be doing commentaries for the more of these A to Z commentaries. Like we've got one coming up next week that we just finished recording for Edward Scissorhands. For the letter G is for Grim Tales, right? So, but we're going to move on to I for Innocence, for Bad Seed, J for Japan, for Gojira,
H for Harlequinade.
Ooh, that's this year, yeah. L for Lynch Mob, which will be Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. And M is for Mistress of the Night, for Black Sunday. And N is for Nightmare, with Nightmare on Elm Street. So that'll be fun. I like doing these commentaries. It'll be neat to continue on with them.
Me too. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah, so those commentary tracks are usually fun. It's great sometimes to branch out a little bit from just Clive Barker content and go into what makes Clive Barker tick. And in this case, there's a whole book of movies that he selected, edited by Stephen Jones. So it's fun to dip into that and bring a little diversity into our podcast and talk about other things. And we've had lots of fun guests coming in, like Ed and Nina.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to doing more of these, because some of these movies I haven't seen them in a long time.
And we'll be coming back to more play scripts. So hopefully Phil and Sarah and the Clive Barker Archive will be releasing more play scripts. Those are great. They're super affordable, and usually you get one that's been published before and one that hasn't. So I'm excited about those. We'll cover those as they come out. And if they don't come out, we'll just grab some plays out of Incarnations and Forms of Heaven and talk about those.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if this would be doable, but I do have the Secret Life of Cartoons. So maybe that would be something we could throw in the mix, depending on whether or not we're allowed to do that. But I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And then we have, and I forgot to mention K for Killing Joke, which was Interview with the Vampire.
Tom Cruise, Lestat.
So you had mentioned in the podcast or the audio commentary episode before that seeing someone bleed would make me pass out. Actually, Interview with a Vampire does have a level of blood that kind of makes me start to feel a little queasy.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I like that movie, but I've kind of avoided watching it because of that.
Oh, I completely understand.
I think it's like it's like a dinner party or something, and somebody looks down and there's blood like pouring down the front of their shirt and.
Sure. Yeah. I know the scene that you're talking about. Yeah, there's lots of scenes like that but I guess there's always that thing, which is movie blood kind of feels different from real blood and real anxiety. So maybe that will help you achieve a different level of uneasiness that will not be too uncomfortable.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see.
And we'll be doing commentary for the Hulu Books of Blood, and I hope that there's a Blu-ray for it by then. But we'll do an audio commentary and more spoiler-ish discussion of Books of Blood once more people have had a chance to watch it.
Yeah, and there's hardly any blood in the Books of Blood, so that's good.
Right. Pandemonium. So yeah, the Pandemonium. We'll be doing more Clive Barker art books. We'll be going back, to the 90s, and we'll talk about Pandemonium and the Illustrator series and Visions of Heaven and Hell.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited to go over those. Our art episodes, I mean, they were super fun to do, and we didn't know if it would be okay because we're an audio podcast talking about art. But it actually kind of worked out pretty well, and it was a lot of fun, and Markus was great in those. So I'm looking forward to doing that again.
Yeah, and we were describing some of that stuff, and even people like Ed Martinez, who's a blind podcaster, he was saying that he enjoyed listening to the descriptions of the paintings, that he could make it up in his own mind as well. Yeah. And for people that have those books, they can kind of follow along if they want to, or if they don't want to, you can just listen and just remember those paintings too. Candyman. So we're going to talk about Candyman after we see it in the theater. We will try to do an audio commentary in the year 2021. If it's out in time, we'll definitely do it. Yeah, I think it will, because, for example, Wonder Woman 1984 is going to get a theater release. And it's also going to go immediately on HBO Max. So I'm pretty sure that now in 2021, the movies that are going to be premiering, they're probably going to start doing the simultaneous release. If not almost at the same time, it'll be very short between. So I'm sure we'll be able to see Candyman, if not in a theater, then on a streaming platform somewhere. They'll have plenty of time to get it ready for its home release. That's for sure. Hell yeah. Yeah. And then the Jericho Squad 77, right? That's our D&D game that we're going to be playing online. So we reached the goal for that, and we even went a little above. So we've been talking to some artists to look into maybe doing some artwork for us to make it more, more visual and, so people can kind of see what we're talking about when we're playing the game, because it'll be a video and audio experience. Maybe it will be our first foray into Zoom. Maybe that would be something to look into. And I could definitely tell your tone of voice. You were smiling when you were talking about the Dungeons and Dragons game because you're happy that we're doing this. Yeah. You're a big D&D player, so you're going to be the DM on this. Yeah. And I don't know anything about it. No spoilers for me because I can't know what we're going to find or how we're going to find it or where we're going to go, our travels, our quests.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be exciting.
We're going to do I'm going to do the best I can. It's set in a Clive Barker world. It's set in the Imagica. So I'm going to have to do some more studying up. I mean, I've read Imagica a few times, like a lot of us Clive Barker fans, but it's a dense book, and it would be easy to get things wrong or to misremember stuff. So I'm going to have to bone up a little bit more on that, and also on my Dungeons and Dragons rules, because I kind of wing it a little bit more than I should, and so I'm going to be rereading the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Player's Handbook and
fourth edition.
Fifth edition.
Fifth? Oh, there's a fifth now. Okay.
Yeah, no, we don't talk about the fourth edition.
Okay.
It's not good.
We don't? Okay.
No, it's sort of built like World of Warcraft.
Yeah. As you can tell, the only time I've played any sort of D&D, which wasn't even D&D, it was Cult Divinity Lost. That was the one time that I was in an actual session with other players. So.
Yeah, no, but you did great. And
awesome.
Yeah, your character was awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll kind of be able to just dive into our characters and the game that I play with Joel and my wife and stuff, they're not so much as into the role playing, so I have to kind of push them a little bit, but I don't think it'll be like that with you guys.
Yeah, that's the fun part. I found that was the fun part to really let that character to feel like you're constructing a character and then really embody it. And roll with it and try to play act a little bit. That's a fun part of D&D for me.
Yeah. Well, and there's another aspect of it that's not in Cult so much, but in Dungeons and Dragons, a big part of it is the grid and strategizing. Well, if I run over here and I cast this spell, how is that gonna, but I got to make sure to just hit this monster and not my friends. And there's a lot of strategy and stuff in there that will be a little different.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's my favorite
part
of
math.
As a player. That's my favorite part of D&D.
A lot of stats and rolling dice and adding numbers and adding multipliers and all that stuff.
Yeah, but it's not so bad. You get used to it.
Is Pathfinder in the universe of D&D? Is it a new set of rules or is it a completely different thing?
What it is when it's kind of like IBM and Windows, and PC clones.
Yeah.
Right. So when Dungeons and Dragons had third edition, they made it open, and Pathfinder was a group that took the third edition rules and made their own game out of it.
Okay, like an open source D&D.
Yeah. And then since then they've stopped allowing that, and so now there's like another edition of Pathfinder that's got its own set of rules that's different. But that's where they came from.
Well, that's cool. Thanks for explaining that.
Oh yeah, no problem.
So we don't want to spoil any names of people who might be involved on it so far, but there's some players that we reached out to join us in our quests. And how much do you want to talk about the game and the premise of the game?
Well, just that I guess just that it's if you know the game Clive Barker's Jericho. We use that only just a little bit, just enough to say, hey, yes, there is that organization has gotten bigger with all the stuff that's happened in the Clive Barker novels over the years. We're in present day. The Imagica is reconciled. It's open. People can go back and forth between the Fifth Dominion and the rest of the Imagica. There's the Aberrat. There's the Weave World. There's the Metacosm across across Quiddity, right? With all that stuff, Jericho is spread really thin, and they have to recruit people that otherwise haven't really had a lot of chance for training, and so our group is a sort of a backwater Jericho outpost in the Second Dominion.
The erasure doesn't exist anymore, so this takes place after the events of the Imagica. Yeah,
so we're taking place in not in Isordarex, but I think near it, and in the Second Dominion.
That sounds awesome. Looking forward to it. Yeah, picking up my character, creating the stats and all that stuff that goes behind the scenes, and who knows who I'm going to be. So we'll find out what character I'm going to play pretty soon.
Yeah, and we're doing it for fun, and it's a fun thing to do with our podcast to celebrate Clive Barker stuff. And that's all that it is. It's not, we're not creating something to make money off of.
We have a drawing of the Unbeheld from this artist that we contacted that maybe we can use that in our first promo next year. That would be cool. Yeah. So people can have an idea of how awesome it is to visualize these characters in their quest. That's why we're getting an artist to work with us. But yeah, that's exciting. We reached that goal. We ended up with 2112. Rush reference, but 2112. We've always had luck with our Kickstarters, and we've always had a lot of generosity from contributors and people who donate stuff, and we really want to thank all those people in this episode.
Yeah. And so we'll know more about how much we have left for artwork and stuff as we, pay for shipping and get the Kickstarter fees and all that. That's cool, and then the shipping is usually a lot.
From Alaska, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I tried to make sure that we were covered with that this time. I think I really, in years past, I really underestimated in international shipping. It's like no matter how expensive you think it is, it's always more.
Yeah, and let's hope that all the tubes and posters and T-shirts get to the people on time, because we don't control the USPS, but hopefully 2021 will mark a return to reliability on that particular institution.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like you said, we want to thank everybody involved, and we'll start with our contributors. First of all, the Clive Barker Archive, Phil and Sarah Stokes. Thank you so much. They last year they donated a bunch of Imaginer books, and this year we were able to sell some more of them for the podcast, and that's helped tremendously. We had, I think, one of them right at the end too, so bumped us up quite a bit, and just it made the Kickstarter more exciting, made us able to continue on that much more, and we're really excited. And also want to thank Clive Barker himself and Seraphim, for the past support that they've given us. There's still stuff, that we have left over from those years that is still helping us out.
Absolutely. That's great. We also want to thank Peter Atkins for always being supportive and always contributing stuff for us, whether they're physical things like he did for this one, where you have a lot of little chapbooks and posters and signed stuff. He's always great to have in the podcast. Seems like we end up having him always around the Halloween time, and it'd be great to have him join us again on the next Halloween. Who knows?
It was great, and it was one of our most popular episodes. And I know that Peter Atkins is self-deprecating, and he would never say this, but he's one of our best guests, and one of our most popular guests, and we're super happy to have him on, and I'd love to do it again.
Yeah, for sure. It's great having him on the video that we did for our special Halloween episode, and he's such a trooper, and he keeps entertaining us with audiobooks and books that he puts out, stories, his YouTube channel with Glenn Hirschberg of the Rolling Darkness Review that you can find on YouTube. Go check that content out. And he's putting out some more books now that he's narrating or writing, or, being part of like Blu-ray releases where he's also joining the people in the special features. So give him a like on his page and the Rolling Darkness Review and Peter Atkins, and follow his stuff. We're going to try to share that stuff as well on our usual Facebook and blog for the Clive Barker podcast.
Yeah. Well, and also just wanted to say quickly about that, the stuff that he donated, all of it went on the first day, except for like one of the chapbooks took a few more days after that. And then there was one person that canceled their pledge. And so one of his things went back on, and I just made a post to say, hey, I know these are really popular. One of these just came back on, and somebody jumped on it right away. So, thanks again, Peter Atkins. I mean, that stuff just went super fast and helped us out a lot. And next up, of course, we want to thank Ed Martinez and Nina Arlene of Coenobium fame and members of our podcast commentaries and other episodes they've joined us for. They were also really helpful behind the scenes with the planning. Made some really helpful suggestions that we followed through on and really helped us out a lot. And
put us in touch with people, and they're full-fledged team members now.
Yeah, and they donated the Candyman 2 board game. That was the very first thing that.
Oh man, what a treasure that is!
Yeah,
that went super cheap. I hope
you
whoever
so?
has it is gonna treasure that. Well, I never found that thing afterwards. I was looking around the internet. I never found another one of those. It's a really rare prop. Very cool collector's item. It went for like $200 or something.
Yeah, and it's tough to price something like that. And I keep thinking if I set it too high, then nobody will buy it. But obviously,
That's true.
I went too low. I must have gone too low because it sold within minutes of.
It was crazy, but I hope it went to a really dedicated fan. It has to be because they paid for that amount, and it was great. So. The good thing about this is that we're sending the stuff to great homes, people who really care about the stuff. They're real fans. And, the Imaginer books. Wow, imagine sending those books to good homes. That's crazy.
I'm excited about that.
Beautiful wonderlands.
Oh, and speaking of Ed and Nina, they also donated a T-shirt design for us. One of the Coenobium covers that has Nyx on it from Lord of Illusions.
Art on it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's so great. I'm going to buy myself one of those things as soon as this is over.
Me too. I want to own that thing. I want to show around my pride of supporting Coenobium and of course it's a great artwork and it's representing Clive Barker stuff.
Yeah. Thanks again also to Max Lichtor of Pyramid Gallery. He donated 3 of the musical lament configuration puzzle boxes, which I have one of those myself. I'm pretty sure you have more than one of his designs.
I have like 3 of those.
Yeah. And
amazing stuff.
Yeah, and so thanks so much because that made a big difference. And you made a post like right in our last hour or last couple hours.
Yeah.
That and
4 hours to go.
Yeah, and one more person got one of those, and so that bumped us up right at the end, and
one more lost soul to the domains of Leviathan.
yeah. So well now I feel bad. I don't want anyone to go to hell because of us.
See, Ryan, they wanted to know.
Yeah,
now they do.
Now you know. Yeah. But thank you so much, Max Lichtor and Derek Neal of Configuration Boxes. Those two guys, they work together. They have separate businesses, but you'll often see them at conventions together, selling their puzzle boxes. And Derek Neal donated a really cool one that has that's from Paul Kane's Sherlock Holmes and the Servants of Hell. The red box, yeah, and it was signed by Paul T. Taylor.
Yeah, and 2021 will probably also see us make an episode with them, like a little puzzle box maker episode, right?
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, we should definitely do that.
Yeah.
Max used to be on the podcast often in our first couple of years. It would be good to have him come back again.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and Derek Neal and all that stuff.
Yeah,
talk
that would
about,
be great.
Conventions and the mythos behind those boxes and, promote their websites and what boxes they have going on. Maybe even talk a little bit about how they make those boxes. How many virgin sacrifices do you have to make and how much blood goes into one of those?
Right.
The audience wants to know.
Yeah. And Joe Manco and Catalina Querida, we talk about them a lot. We love, we're big supporters of Little Spark Films. And the stuff that they do, and they helped us out a lot. They donated Torturer posters and movie download codes. Yeah,
Torturer.
Yeah,
Texas represent.
Yeah, and they've been, even though they're super busy, they've always taken time to talk to us and help us out and stuff like that. So we really appreciate that. Their lives are kind of blowing up with movie projects and stuff like that, but they've always had time to listen to our episodes and talk with us, and we really appreciate that.
Definitely one of my upcoming favorites from 2020 year in review is going to be the Hellraiser Laments that they put out. Whole series of videos. That's going to be in my favorites for 2020. So good job on that, Little Spark Films. Thanks for supporting us, and you guys rock.
Aiden Faolan. So this was somebody that that he was also a backer of this Kickstarter, but Ed and Nina put us in touch with him because he wanted to also donate some stuff for us to use in the Kickstarter. So magazines and comics and Dread Clive Barker official newsletters, all that stuff was by him. And
that was super generous.
Yeah, really nice. And he was a great guy to talk to. When he donated that stuff, he put it in the mail immediately because we were a little ways in already to the Kickstarter. So he got it into the mail like immediately, and most of that stuff sold for the Kickstarter. So
yeah, really
and it was
pushed us forward.
Great stuff. I'm super jealous of whoever gets the Dread, fanzines, because I'm trying to make a complete collection myself. So thank you
so much,
again.
Aiden.
Yeah, and we'll be thanking you again here in a few minutes. And Markus Williams, another member of our team, and contributed an awesome pinhead design for the T-shirt. That's our official T-shirt design number 3, right? Is this Markus Williams pinhead design that looks really cool?
It's the best one so far. It's the third and the best. Great stuff that he did. Markus, writer, poet, painter, and he collects a lot of Clive Barker art. He was with us throughout the entire series of Illustrator episodes, so you know how much insight he offered and how much he described those paintings beautifully and how much they meant to him. And he painted some paintings of the Hell Priest, and we're like, hey, that sounds great. Why don't we use one of these? And he's like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So what a great T-shirt design. That if you're a Hellraiser fan, you got to have one of these.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to buy one of those too. and if you got if you've gotten one of our posters for that Do Not Trust the Smiling World Clive Barker posters, that's thanks to Century Guild, who sent those to us several years back. They were originally meant to be part of the defunct Clive Barker Appreciation Society.
Yeah, the Clive Barker Society. We have a few more left, and we'll be using some of those for upcoming events and Kickstarters. Hopefully, those are pretty rare. We still have a few, but it's great to bring them out every once in a while and have people put some of that on their wall. It's a beautiful sketch of a painting that appears in an Illustrator page as a completed painting, and it's wonderful. It's a monster wearing the mask of a human, which is so subversive, right? I mean, usually it's the other way around.
Right, and it's kind of a neat look of a beginning sketch of something that later turned into a painting.
Yeah, and it's got that little kind of prose poetry of Clive saying, "Don't trust the smiling world, my child."
Yeah. So let's get into thanking the backers, and there's a lot of them this year. And you had mentioned earlier, maybe it's better to not comment on every single one of them because it would take a long time. And
let's alternate. You start with one, I say the other one.
Okay, Geist de la Muerte Gatito. So is that the ghost of the little dead cat?
That sounds like it.
Yeah.
Of course, I want to thank Kristen for supporting us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Emiliyan Gikovski.
Looks like you're getting the hard names, huh?
Yeah.
Thanks, Emiliyan. Thanks, Emiliyan.
Yeah.
Mike Danhauser, which is...
hi, Dad.
Hi. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you. Maureen Mavar.
David Anderson.
Elena DeGarmo.
Jonathan Q.
Rob Lobriola.
The Creative Fund by backerkit.
Marcell Fraser.
Matthew Aaron Burns.
Roger Boys.
Thanks, man. You're the best. Nicole.
David Barraza.
Aiden Faolan.
Yay. Jacob Hendricks.
Cindy Jacobson.
Hi, Mom.
Oh, okay.
I just have to say one thing about that. I said, my dad bought a T-shirt, and so not to be outdone. That's why she's on.
What T-shirt did he get?
The number 1 T-shirt 1.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. Which one is next? Me?
Rob Ridenauer.
Robbie.
Yay.
Robbie. It's been great getting back in touch with Robbie.
Yeah.
He's been going on through some stuff, and now he's back on Facebook, but it's been great. I spoke to him on the phone, and he's doing fine. It's doing great. Raul, of course, he was with us in the Cult Divinity Lost, and he's also a big fan of the podcast on Discord.
Cinderbite.
Matt Batten.
Jennifer Danhauser. There was something there was something that I really wanted in there, so she helped me with that.
Catalina Querida of Little Spark Films.
Clive McCarthy.
Arietta Bryant.
Christopher Mayer.
Eric Van Holt.
Don Bertram.
Yay, our sponsor.
Yeah.
Kendra Hulbert.
Lori Bichet.
The Followers of the Pandorix.
Michael J. Sullivan.
And Zeinrich.
Yay. Thanks, everybody.
Nice. A lot of repeats and a lot of new people. So cool to feel the love from all these contributors that have been decided to get some cool stuff and support the podcast.
Yeah, it was great. And it's, this is a yearly reminder of why we keep doing this. It's not just for us, it's for the rest of the fan community.
By the fans, for the fans.
Yeah, really. And, and that's why any kind of involvement that people want to have, we always welcome it because, there are two of us, but the Clive Barker fan community is huge. And so,
Yeah. And there's been more people coming regularly into the show, like Ed, Nina, Markus. Maybe David will come back, David Sharp at some point. Maybe he'll come back. There's been some false starts here and there when we're doing some stuff and people say, hey, I would like to be a part of that. But sometimes life gets in the way or, you have to work gets in the way. But, they help in other ways. So that's always great to have them in the team.
And thinking about that, I think about having Ed and Nina as the kind of the old guard of Clive Barker fandom, right? They ran this Coenobium fanzine, back before there were podcasts. And
that's true.
But then we also have people like Markus, who are introduced to Clive Barker with Aberrat. Younger people, a little younger than us, so we're kind of in the middle, I suppose.
Yeah. People who are still super excited about this stuff that really throw their sensitivities and their money at that stuff. They're still collecting all this stuff from Clive Barker. Yeah. And it's great to feel that connection that they make with the stuff that we experienced maybe decades ago. And maybe we're a little jaded about some things. Maybe we're like, okay, I know all about that. But we forget that sometimes some of these people are just finding out. I mean, we're in groups on Facebook where people are like, okay, hey, I just read Weave World. This book is amazing. And now which book should I read next, guys? And then we're like, try Sacrament. And, they're still going through that discovery phase whereas we're more like on that phase where we're like, maintaining our fandom and maybe sometimes recalling stuff that we already kind of like, that thing. I haven't read that book in years. Let's go back to that. And, we find new insight in the podcast sometimes, like we're talking about a story and I'm like, you know what? I never really thought about this story again. And it's like, it's brought back some different connections that I see myself learning stuff about Clive Barker's work, or I read something, or I find an interview where someone says something about a book and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. I never thought of it that way. So it's really cool to still see Clive be a mainstream name, like on Hulu, the Candyman that's coming out, all that stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, and you think about Catalina and Joe, right? I mean, they're kind of going through reading Clive Barker's stuff for the first time, and in some of the cases, and she's also like reading the Books of Blood aloud on Instagram. Right, on Instagram TV, Barker and Briefs. Sexy show with good writing. And, you can go there and check it out. It doesn't stay up forever, I don't think. So go and check out Catalina Querida on Instagram. Look up the hashtag Barker and Briefs. Yeah. So, I think so. The fandom is all over the place. We like to try to to stay connected to all of it, because it's so cool, and it's keeping everything fresh.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So, well, coming up next, we've got our A to Z commentaries. G is for Grim Tales, Edward Scissorhands commentary, which we just got finished recording that one, and that'll be coming out next weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, Black Friday, and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how that's going to be. The Black Friday, it's probably going to be just like Cyber Friday now, because people can't just go and trample themselves into like Targets, right?
Well, they probably still will.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I guess maybe it's better to say they shouldn't.
Now, instead of people fighting for a TV, they'll just threaten to cough on each other.
Well, and it's even for years, it's been Black Friday and Cyber Monday are kind of the same thing, because there's still Black Friday deals online.
Oh yeah. And now they open those things up even days before. Like, wait, we early start on Cyber Monday. It's like it's a week away. Okay, so it's no longer Cyber Monday. It's Cyber Week.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Yeah. Well, and the stores are desperate, but I think the more we can do local shopping and try to help our local stores that are struggling, and not so much like beat down the doors of Walmart.
Sure. And for you gotta get all this stuff bought and stuff before the vampires take over for winter. So that's
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. 30 days of night,
which is really 60.
Yeah. Well, it is in Barrow or Uktivik, right? It's 60 days of night. We have a little less than that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So we got these commentaries coming up, and then we're going to be working on the book, and then we're going to enjoy the holidays, and that's a great time for everybody who hasn't caught up with the episodes yet to catch up on the episodes.
Yeah.
During the holidays, especially I would recommend going to the Halloween episode with Peter Atkins, and our commentary tracks are really fun. When Halloween rolled by, I actually found the AMC was doing a Halloween hangover the day after Halloween, and I actually pulled up my phone and I listened to the commentary track that we recorded.
Oh, really?
For Halloween, yeah.
Oh, that's
I listened
awesome.
to most of it, yeah, because I've seen that movie 100 times. But I listened to most of it, and I was like, God damn, this is actually fun.
Yeah. Yeah, when I listen to our commentaries, I'm like, yeah, actually, we're pretty good. We don't, we're keeping stuff current and talking through the whole thing, and we're, maybe not so much me, but you guys have been pretty knowledgeable about all the behind the scenes stuff, and yeah, it's been pretty neat to listen to.
Yeah, what matters is just talking about how you like the movie, what it means to you, and what's going on. Yeah, that's cool.
In this podcast having no beginning will have no end. You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com. We've got an archive of past episodes, news, features, and reviews, along with all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on every other place you can find podcasts. Share your thoughts with us, and share our podcast with your friends. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial podcast and news blog that's not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.